In this video, I will give you an introduction to data binding in Android. So this is the current tab that I have, and here I have one plus button and one minus button. So if I click on this, then it decrements this value, and if I click on this, then it increments this value. So we have one main activity here, and we have one view model. So in the main activity, we have this view model reference. So we are creating this view model using this view model factory, then using this view model provider. So here we can pass the initial value. So if I give it as 0, then it will start from 0 here. And also we have view binding enabled. So this binding dot button minus, this one is this button, and button plus is this button. So using view binding, I'm accessing these buttons and I'm adding one on-click listener. And if the button is clicked, then it calls this view model to increment or decrement the value. So inside this view model, you can see that if we are incrementing or decrementing the value, then we have one counter variable here. It is initialized as 0, and we are adding 1, or we are decrementing it by 1. And after that, it calls this update view. That update view, it uses view binding to update the text of this text view, and here it is getting this value from this view model. So basically, once the user clicks on any item in the main activity, then it calls the view model, then it again reads the value from view model, and it updates this value. So using data binding, we can directly link this view model with a XML file or a view file. So for that, first thing we need to enable it. So let me go to this build.gradle file. I need to go here, this module level build.gradle, and here it is currently view binding is enabled. It is as view binding true. So I am going to enable this data binding. So for that, I need to use this data binding true. You can use view binding if you just want to remove this find view by IDs. So you can directly access each item. But if you want more than that, then you can use data binding. It is done. So for that, I need to go to this activity main.xml file. So this is the main file of this activity. And here I need to enable the data binding. So if you click Alt Enter, or in Mac, if you click Option Enter, then it shows that you can convert it to a data binding layout. Click on this, then you can see that it wraps it with this layout text, and inside we have this data. So basically inside this data we can define some different types of variables like string or integer or any different types of variables, or we can also add different objects. So for that we need to use this variable, and here we can give one name. Suppose the name is result, and the type we can give it as, suppose it is string. Now inside this layout we can read from this variable. So it's like we have defined one variable here instead of in this Kotlin files, and we are reading the data from this variable, and from the Kotlin file we will update this variable, then it will automatically update in this view. So suppose this 0, this is a text view. So here I can assign the text. So I need to write it like this. So from here I can get the value of result. So I am assigning the value of result to this text view. So now if I go here to this main activity, if you are following my view binding tutorials, then you know that it automatically creates on this binding class. So it's like this name of this activity, reverse name of this activity, it's activity main and binding. So similarly for data binding also, it creates similar types of class. but this class is like more features than this view binding. One thing we need to change it here. So previously this is not view binding, so for that we need to use one different class. It is called data binding util dot it's set content view. So we can pass this as here, and this is the XML file. So by using this we have assigned this XML file to this data binding, and we don't need this line. And here we can update the result value. So if I assign it as result, we are getting the text of the view from the view model, and we are assigning the value of result here in this activity main file. So let me restart that. This is started. Now if I click on this plus button or minus button, then you can see that it behaves like similarly. So here we are updating the result value from this activity, and from this result value we are reading the value in the text field. Let me add one image view here. I am adding one image view on top of these buttons. So using view data binding, we will load one image in this image view only if the value of this text is more than 5. We will read all these values and all this decision making from this view model. So from this main activity, we will remove this on-click listener from here. We don't want to use this from here, and also this update view, we will not use it. So this main activity will only initialize this view model, then the view model will be linked directly with this activity main. So here this currently we have this of type string. So let me create it as a different name, view model, suppose be a main view model. Then we can set the type of any other objects. For now we want it as this main view model. Minus button, we can set the on-click listener here. So and right on click. So it's similar to how we were assigning the value. So here we can access the view model, and we can access any of these methods that is defined in the view model. So we are calling this decrement value, and similarly for the plus button. So this plus button, I'm going to call the increment value in the view model. Then for the text that we have here, this is the text view. So here we don't have this result, so we are gonna read the value of counter. But one thing is that this counter is a normal variable, so this text view, it will not know if the counter got updated. So for that we have to use a different types of variable. It's called live data. So let me create one variable, private variable live data. So I'm creating one live data. It's mutable live data. That means we can change its value. So live data variables are used if we want to notify if anything is changed in the variable, those who are listening to it. So I need to import it. Then here, so I'm gonna create another variable. It's called name counter. So if I get the value, then it will return me the value of this counter. So I'm keeping it as private this one, because we don't want to access it from outside this class. So we'll access it to read the data, that is this counter, and see that it's not mutable live data, it's of type live data, so we can't change its value. So actually we can also export this one, but this is the best practice that is followed. So here in init, so I'm gonna set the value of this counter dot value as the initial value, and if we are decrementing the value, then I'm gonna decrement the value of this counter dot value dot minus by 1. Similarly, whenever we are incrementing the value, then I'll write it as plus 1. And this get counter, we don't need this, because since this is a live data, then if anything sends to this value, then we will notify it here, this XML file. So here I'm gonna read the value of this counter, and inside this I need to set the value of this VM. So inside this main activity, so binding.vm equal to view model that we have created here. So let me assign this initial value as 0, and also we need to give the lifecycle owner as this. We need to give this lifecycle owner because we are using this live data. One thing I missed, that I need to convert it to a string because this is an integer value. So now you can see that if I am clicking on this plus button or minus button, it's working. Now let's see how we can load this image view with an image using data binding. Let's load the image from internet. For that, the first thing I need to give the permission of for internet. So we need to use this user's permission. So it's value internet. Then in the main view model file, let me create one variable. So it's a URL of the image that we will load, and I need to create one different file. So basically we can't add this image URL in this image and it will load automatically, because we need to use one separate library. For that, let me create one new file. Let's say its name is binding adapter. So I'll create something, it's called binding adapter. So let me show you how it's done. This name load image, you can set it to any name you want. So here we need to the name of this function, and we will get one view as image view, and we will get one URL as the string. Let me import the image view. Also we need to use this Kotlin KPT plugin. So we need to go here, this module builder.gradle, and so in this module level I need to use this apply plugin. Okay, let me sync the project. You can see that error is gone. So basically we can use this load image in the image view. So here I'll go to this image view, and I can use this load image here. So let me use this load image, and here we can pass the URL. That means we'll get it from the URL from this view model. So this is the view model, then we will get the URL, and we are using this load image. So it's app load image. So in the binding adapter class, we'll get the view, that is the image view, and also the URL, that is the string. So here we can use any library to load that image URL in the view. For that, I'm gonna use Glide. So these are the dependencies that we need to use for Glide. So we need to add it in this build.gradle. We can't use the Glide here. So to use it, let me use glide.with. Let me import the Glide. So here we can get the context. Then we can load the URL, and we are loading it into this view. Now let me restart the app. Now you can see that it's loading the image. Let me give some width and height for this image. Okay, now it looks better. So what we'll do now, so if I am incrementing the value, if it is more than 5, then only we will show this image, else we will hide this image. So for that, we can write one condition here. So for that, I need to use this visibility. We can give view.visible or view.gun based on one condition. So similarly, I'm gonna use data binding. So here, if the value of counter vm.counter is greater than 5, then we will use view.visible, else it is gone. So it will be not visible if it is less than 5. But since view is not imported, we can also import it here. Similar to variable, we need to use import android view.view. So now you can see that these errors are gone. Also, let me show you one more way that we can use data binding. So we can also pass this string to any other string format. Suppose in the string file, string.xml file, I'm creating one new format. Suppose its name is score format, and the value is score %d. So we'll pass the integer value, and it will format it based on this score, based on the integer value here. So we can use this score format in this XML activity main XML file. So here I'm gonna call this string, and I can pass the value of counter directly to this score format. So it will format it and it will show it directly based on that. So it is useful if you want to create an app in different languages, then you will have different types of string files. So you can directly call a string file instead of writing the things here. So now here you can see that it's formatted based on the string format that we are using. And if I'm incrementing the value, and if it is more than 5, then it is showing this image. Other than that, it is hidden. So these are the basics of data binding. There are more than this, but I hope that you learned how we can use data binding in Android with view model, and also the basics of live data and also binding adapters. So if you love this video, please like it, please subscribe to my channel, and also if you have any queries or if you want me to suggest me anything, please drop one comment below. Thanks, bye.